Terrace done. The Nexus is dead. Over. This is going to be the first best of 5 series the Chiefs have ever lost, and Sin will take on Legacy tomorrow. Cupcake's on top of him. Exhaust has gone down, but Nexus Terrace gone. Shockwave on Ryoba. He's still going to pick up kills. The Nexus, it's so low. They get it. Legacy have done it. They're going into the grand finals against the Direwolves. Legacy put up their last stand, but is it going to be enough? It doesn't seem like it. Direwolves hammer on towards the Nexus. They can taste it. They feel that they are the new champions here in Oceania.
Hello and welcome to this, our second day of this brand new split of OPL. My name is Michael Hingersing, and this is a week where we say hello to some brand new faces here at the OPL. We welcome them into the squad and also relive an old rivalry that is as old as an entire split. Joining me here at the desk, we have Jish, Destiny, and also Bryce, Ejim, Paul. I'm just used to calling you Bryce. I apologize for that. How are you all doing? You well? Jish, how you feeling? You good?
Not too bad, not too bad.
Excellent stuff. And Destiny, fresh off a win yesterday, feeling very confident?
Yeah, very good, very good.
And Ejim, how you doing?
Oh, yeah, just as good as Destiny, to be honest. Fresh off a win. Yeah, no, I'm all right.
Yeah, you're all right.
Yeah,
well, I will say, first of all, I'd like to thank all three of you for putting in some effort in the way you dress. Not that our guest yesterday didn't, but I do appreciate you guys putting effort, and thank you for, thank you all. Let's get to our schedule for today's games, because we have two massive, huge games of League of Legends for you today. We're going to kick things off with Legacy versus Sin, a very interesting match, because last split, Legacy lost twice to Sin during the regular season, then Sin were unable to beat them in the gauntlet. We'll then be seeing AV taking on a brand new look TM squad later on this afternoon. So before we get into these games, I want to kind of remind you guys about some stuff that we've been talking about recently, which is the MVP, the Radiant Medal for this split. Now we're going to be doing things a little bit differently this split. Rather than kind of voting every week and showing you guys the tally week to week, what we're going to be doing is voting at the end of every round, and we're going to be allocating points to people from each matchup. And then at the end of the split, those will all be tallied up, and that person will be winning the Radiant Medal. So we won't be giving out individual medals each week. We'll be giving out one at the end of the split. So I don't know, anyone got any hot picks for who it's going to be? Obviously, Destiny, EGM, you're going to be backing yourselves.
Me.
Yeah?
Sherfire.
Sherfire.
Sorry, guys.
This is real teamwork. This is an absolute...
It's egotistical. I mean, he's just voting a teammate.
Jish, do you have any hot picks for who it might be? The split, the MVP of the split?
No, I don't really know. I'm going to see how the split plays out, and then I'll just claim that, oh yeah, I actually picked that guy in week 1. I knew he was going to get it.
I see. Well, let's get to this first match, which is Legacy versus Sin. And Sin are bringing a new top laner. His name is Dockler. He's replacing Flares. And, I mean, this last year, last split, I should say, Sin were able to take it to Legacy. With this new top laner, it's kind of an open question, Jish.
Yeah, so I think we don't really know the full story behind the replacement. We don't know exactly why it was replaced, but in my mind, it seems like a downgrade just based on synergy alone. Flares really seem to gel with that team. And maybe Dockler can do the same, but obviously he's definitely an untested talent. I think he's played a few rounds of Open Qualifier, and a couple of my friends from America were just saying that he's really good on maybe Fiora and Jace, but he doesn't have a really solid, strong champion pool, and he sort of lacks a bit of competitive experience.
Yeah. Yeah,
and I feel like towards the end of the split, Sin ramping up through the gauntlet, they beat us. They relied on Flares quite a lot. I think he was a real shining light for them during the end of the split. So switching that out for Dockler seems like a risky move. Obviously, we don't know the backstory, but it should be interesting to see how he goes in his first couple of OPL games.
But he's also going up against Tally, who's one of the better top laners in the OPL. So Destiny, how do you think this matchup's going to go?
I think Legacy definitely have an upper hand. Like, they're fresh off a boot camp from Korea, and Sin are obviously going to have time to adjust with the new top laner Dockler. So we're going to have to see if he lives up to Flair's hype like he did last split, and hopefully can fill in the spot right.
As a bit of a host extra for you guys, I googled Dockler before, and apparently it's a food. It's a vegetarian food made of rice and chickpeas. There's a deep fried batter element to it. I don't know exactly what it is, but you know. And then I tweeted that out, and then Juve tweeted back at me saying that Dockler is a vegetarian as well. No, it's just a little.
There's definitely a feeding joke in there. There's definitely a feeding joke.
Excellent. All right. Well, now that we've set up that joke, if anyone wants to,
if anyone's going for it.
All right. Let's take a look at these team lineups, shall we? Let's take a look at Legacy getting ready right now in their studio, and these guys, not quite premiers, but they came pretty close last split. So let's take a look at their lineup, shall we? Tally is their top laner. Their jungler and captain is Carbon. Claire is their mid laner. Their AD carry, who's the MVP of last split, is Lost. And Cupcake is their support player. And these guys got new jerseys. Can fly. Enjoying
good.
that?
I like
Found
them.
that? Yeah?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Everyone's bringing this sartorial elegance to the OPL today.
Carbon's looking angry. Look at that.
I mean,
He's not a happy man.
He's never...
He's not a happy man very often.
No.
I mean, his player cam suggests all he does is die and just slam his desk a bunch, but that's
slams his
okay.
desk. He's a very emotional man. He tears his hair out. He's an emotional, and I would be as well if I had to,
Wrangle the
wrangle
kids.
these cats around. Now, strengths. Let's talk about some legacy strengths. Obviously, last split, I mean, they could carry from a lot of different positions. But I feel like they started really strong last split, particularly in their bot lane, GG.
Yeah, so talking about Legacy versus Sin in this matchup, obviously Legacy, the entire team, has been to Korea recently. Now, they weren't scrimming. We joined them over there, and so did the whole team of Avant. Legacy were only playing solo queue, no scrims, so in theory, they have that advantage over Sin. Sin are bringing in a new top laner, but also Legacy, from that individual practice, should be better in their individual matchups. And then you mentioned the bot lane specifically. I do want to talk about Cupcake versus Rogue. I think, I don't know if Destiny agrees with me, but as a support player, I feel like we have the graphic up on the screen now, but towards the beginning of the split, Lost and Cupcake were considered like the best bot lane in Oceania. I always call them the best bot lane in Oceania, and I think they were really good. And then Rogue has been steadily improving over the course of the split. But then Cupcake kind of, when they got to the gauntlet, I don't know, like he didn't have a good performance against the Direwolves, and then I feel like he's kind of lost a bit of form as the season progressed, and I don't know if he's picked that back up.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like Rogue is progressing each week and improving, while Cupcake's like sort of staying to the tank supports, and they sort of do like these bot lanes like the Lucian Braum. So it'll be interesting to see if they do the Xayah Rakan combo today. It'll be very interesting to see that, but I think in today's matchup, it really depends if Rogue steps up to the plate. If he plays the major supports, which counter the melee supports in most matchups, hopefully they can get a good draft and it'll pay off.
All right, well, speaking of Rogue, let's take a look at his team Sin getting ready right now in their studio here at Riot as we bring these guys up on the screen. Roma there looking very animated. He actually spent some time in Korea playing solo queue over the break as well. So let's run through these guys, shall we? Their top laner is new to the OPL. His name is Dockler, fresh from the US, or from the NA, I should say. Juves is their jungler and captain. Ryoma is their mid laner. Their AD carry is FBI, who had a monster performance at Origin.
Absolutely.
And their support player is Rogue, who we were just talking about. Jish, when you look at these guys, I mean, we've talked a bit about their top laner, but let's talk about the rest of the outfit as well. These guys have had great performances at Origin.
Yeah, so I was actually I was coaching both Ryoma and FBI, and I was pleasantly surprised, I think, with how like hard they worked and like how good they were. So I think obviously I've got like a small New South Wales bias for them, but they actually played like really well, and that they were like at every stage of like our week, they were definitely like just hungry to win, hungry to improve, and they're always looking for like any way they could like make themselves better and help their team win, which I think that, you know, in when the stakes are bigger, like in OPL, I think that's probably going to drive their team forward.
Yeah.
And I guess just speaking on FBI specifically, honestly I never knew much about him. Like I haven't like talked to him much since.
FBI best AD carry.
Yeah, well, I knew of him, but I've never like had a conversation with him or played with him, right? And I figured out throughout the course of New South Wales, because I supported him, he's just a yes man. If and that makes sense because Rogue likes playing Thresh. Like I was just like, oh, okay, we're gonna rotate from mid to top. You get this wave, and he's like, yep, sure, okay, we're going. Yep, sure, okay. He's just, I don't know. He's just real
eager.
positive guy. Yeah. And eager for the win, and just does whatever his team requires really good. I was
Now,
really impressed.
Do you want to name names of AD carries in O's who aren't like that? No, that's fine.
Quinn got a pentacle yesterday. We lost, but I mean, he got a penta. It's all right.
All right. Now, speaking of Rogue, one last thing I want to touch on before we get your guys' predictions is we talked a lot yesterday about how Thresh is back in the meta, and obviously Rogue's Thresh is very strong. Do you think it's worthwhile for Legacy to ban it away from him, Jish?
So I'm definitely of the belief that he's like a good Thresh player. I'm not going to take anything away from him. But I don't think that Thresh is not answerable.
Right.
I think that coming into this week, they definitely could ban it. It's obviously one viable strategy. But I also wouldn't be surprised if, that they'd been practicing answers and that they bait Road into picking it.
Yep.
And then they just take something like Tahm Kench maybe into it
Yeah.
to try negate the lane.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's get you guys' predictions before we get into this game. Jish, let me start with you. Who is going to win this and by what margin?
Yeah, I have to back my boys Tommy and Victor or Rioma and FBI and say that they're going to win 2-1. I'm going to give them probably shaky nerves and new top laner. They'll drop one game, but yeah, 2-1 I think Sin.
All right, Destiny?
2-1 either way, but I'm leaning towards Legacy based off factual information.
2-1 either way. What do you mean? You sitting on the fence? Or?
What do you mean? I am on the fence, but Legacy I feel like do have the upper hand, especially since Gauntlet in Korea.
Is that, and it's also because of the new top laner for Sin, or?
Yeah, and the readjusting to him coming into the team.
All right, finally, Ejim?
Yeah, I'm agreeing with Destiny. I think new top laner, Legacy, all fresh off a boot camp. Sin haven't done much. I guess Tommy, Ryoma, went to Korea with Legacy, so maybe he's just stolen a few of the inside strats and he's coming back like, hey boys, like ban this. But yeah, I think 2-1 to Legacy.
2-1 to Legacy. See, I didn't give any predictions yesterday. I think I kind of agree with you. I think Legacy's going to take this. I think Sin will take a game, but I think you're the outlier here, Jish. I think
whatever.
But then Legacy never beat Sin. Like,
Yeah.
well, they didn't got, but like they just always lose to Sin, and I don't know how. Like so many times I look at the matchup and I'm just like, Legacy should win. And
do you
then
think
they
they're inside Carbon's head now? At
Yeah,
this
a little
point?
bit.
Yeah, he can't. He can't.
Too many Jews videos of him like holding the cup like, I will win, I will win. Like too many. He wants
to a tree.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Okay. So just finally before we do go, do you think there's any? If this game is won and lost, I just want a quick from you guys where it's going to be won and lost. Do you think the jungle matchup, the top, where are they going to play towards?
So I'm going to step out and say it's going to be through mid lane. I think Claire's a really solid player, but I don't know if he...
You're really backing your boy Ryoma.
Yeah, obviously. I think he's actually sponsoring me and endorsing me, so I'm getting paid. I mean, every time I mention Ryoma, I'm actually getting paid. But no, I think Ryoma has like that X factor, and I think he's got one split under his belt. He's going to have built confidence. I think Origin as well have done wonders for him. So I think that he's going to have 3 opportunities across 3 games to really step up and shine, and I think that he'll get the better of 2 of them.
I think Tally does have an upper hand with the experience against Dokla, but at the same time, I do agree with Jish. I think Ryuma can just pop off at any moment.
Yeah.
So that's why I was on the fence, because he can just hard carry a game very easily.
Right. Okay. But so you think it'll either be one in the top lane for Legacy or mid lane for Sin?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, you've asked me last 2 times in a row now, so they've stolen all my reasons. But I kind of agree with Destiny. I agree with both of you. I think the mid matchup and the bot matchups will be interesting. They'll be relatively close, but I think Legacy should have the top side of the map. Dokla's new to the scene, new to competitive. I think he should have some nerves in this game. Tally, veteran, very good player. I think he should be able to control top side of the map, and that's where Legacy's
See, I think it's
strong
interesting.
should
No
be.
one's talking about the jungle, because last split all we talked about is basically if Juves or Carbon fed, that was where it was going to happen, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was sort of the name of the game, right? I think it's like which one of them is going to not feed.
Sure.
So,
All right.
yeah,
Well-
let's move away from there.
All right, well, that is our analysis before we go into game 1. We're ready. The players are sitting there, so let's throw it to your casters. It's Spawn and Fish.
Thank you very much, guys. We're about to get into the first match of today. I'm Matthew Fish Stewart. Joining me is Jake Spontiberi, and I think this is a really sportful choice today. He's got 3 guests on the analyst desk today, so he just gets to pick which answer he likes the most and go with that to put on his OPL tips.
Yeah, he certainly does. And the other thing that's really interesting is all these New South Welshmen have taken a lot of confidence out of Origin, a tournament they got absolutely smacked in the grand final of. So it's really interesting there, because looking forward to seeing how they do bounce back from what was a tough loss in the grand final versus a little squad called Victoria.
Yeah, tough loss. It shouldn't have gone that way. Victoria absolutely
Shoulda,
got lucky that
woulda,
day.
coulda,
But
did,
you know,
unfortunately, Fish.
see
Your
what
squad
happens
just
next
couldn't
time
get it
when
done.
luck's not so much on Victoria's side, because I remember
Luck.
day 1.
Mate, Fantic's Flame Horizon Swiper 3 games in a row. That was nothing to do with luck.
Oh, he's getting dropped. Unlucky. Well, we're getting into this first match of today. It's going to be Legacy taking on Sin. Best of 3 series, and this is a rematch of the Gauntlet run. in which we saw Sin actually drop their first Best of 5 series in the Gauntlet, which they looked to try and take the Cinderella story all the way after taking down the Chiefs.
Yeah, they certainly did, and Sin were just stopped short by a miracle play out of Carbon. You have to remember that Sin were actually knocking on the Nexus door as Carbon was able to pull out a 2v1 outplay. It might have even been a 3v1.
Yep.
And I mean, you can't rely on that too often. Carbon, as he said, his hands were a little bit shaky. The old man fingers had to press some keys very quickly. We were managing to pull it together. One thing they didn't really hit on the analyst desk, though, Fish, is the fact that Legacy were acquired in the offseason by the Adelaide Football Club.
They were.
And what we're expecting from that, and Carbon said it himself, is no immediate changes to the roster or the coaching staff. It's going to be the structural changes behind the scenes. So I want to see if any of those are starting to come into play, you know, whether there is that extra support, and whether that unlocks any of these Legacy players to really take off. Because we know in the past, Tally's had some injuries to his wrist. Carbon has said that he's getting old and he's feeling it. He's only 25 years old, by the way, so he's not that old. But I'm really interested to see whether AFC does come in and make a big impact on this squad.
You know, they got their new sponsor as well, Muscle Meals, so all of them trying to bulk up a little bit.
You're on the Muscle Meals as well.
Yes,
I've
I
seen
am.
it. Sweet
It's
potatoes
great.
and chicken breasts popping off in the office.
It is absolutely fantastic. But we have gone through the first few bans here between the two teams. Thresh, Caitlyn, as well as Syndra have been taken away by Legacy. 3 very stable bans, but Caitlyn a little bit more surprising. Galio, Zach, and Elise. That is more common bans coming out from Sin. Zaya's the first pick that came out for Lost, who had a great performance on the champion during State of League of Origin. Dockler picking up Gragas, as well as Rakan taken away by Sin.
Yeah, and I really like the first 2 picks out of Sin in particular. I like the Rakan because it denies the dynamic duo down in the bottom lane, and I like the Gragas because Dockler, he's more of a carry player, and we know if you go towards tanks, carry players like to play Gragas, but Juice also plays it pretty well in the jungle. So interested to see whether that is the flex that's going to come out nice and early.
Nunu!
And Carbon at Origin did not get Nunu once. There's a reason for it. He's a Nunu main. Absolute one trick. We used to call him the Ivan one trick. Well, that champion sucks now, so moving on.
I mean,
Over onto the Nunu. And this sets Lost up to hyper carry again.
this is the champion that Carbon played at IWCA in Melbourne to make himself known as the O's Faker after he won a 1v1 game with the champion against a mid laner. The final pick coming up for Legacy
Was
is
Kami from the Brazilian squad, of course, at that stage, who is known as Brazilian Faker. It's the O's Faker.
No, Carbon is O's Faker. But Legacy, they picked up Braum as their spot of choice for Cupcake, who's very comfortable on the champion, and Ryoma locks in Kassadin as his mid lane pick of choice.
Yeah, and we saw all the games yesterday. Kassadin was actually being taken off Summoner's Rift, especially in the Chiefs versus Direwolf set. Fantix definitely plays a good Kassadin. Ryoma, no stranger to assassin play either, Fish. Definitely not expecting it to be flexed around. We saw it a little bit at Origin. Fantix was happy to even play it in the top lane into tanks. But you can see with Lucian being banned away, I expect the next one to be a Zed. Definitely expecting it to be a mid lane Kassadin. Just because of the buffs to shield, make him really hard to shove out a lane by mages. You can no longer auto-attack harass well. And that should set Ryoma up for a pretty hard carrying game.
Let's see what Claire decides to throw against the Kassadin in the mid lane.
See, it is weird though, because Claire's a really good AD carry player and plays a pretty mean Jace as well. The two champions that Claire was playing that we thought were very good were his Corki early on in the split and his Jace as the split progresses. So I don't know if they have enough bans to really force him away from AD comfort, although in the past, Kassadin certainly has performed pretty well versus Corki just because Phosphorus Bomb is pure magic damage. So interestingly enough, they're not taking all the options off the table for an AD mid.
Now I'm curious to see what the final ban from Legacy is going to be. It is the Ashe. So FBI, well known for being a good AD carry in the OPL, but has a very small champion pool. Lucian's taken away, Ashe, Varus all gone, Caitlyn taken away. That only leaves up a couple of AD carries you could choose between.
Yeah, I mean, Sivir Twitch Cog, like the 3 left. He's going to go with the hyper carry, a little bit more movement speed, a little bit more repositioning tools. He does have a couple of tanks to sit behind, as well as the fact in the mid game, Kassadin Twitch in a side lane is really going to cause some disruption to what Legacy bring. They need to have deep vision out to make sure they spot FBI before he's able to join the Kassadin, because otherwise they just have chase for days, and the kill threat is very legitimate out of that pair.
Sin, their final ban was Orianna, so we'll have to see what the picking for Claire's going to be. For now, though, Tally is picking up Fiora, heading into the top lane against Dockler.
Doesn't really surprise me. I mean, Tally is the original carry player in the top lane. When Swiper was playing tanks, he was playing Graves, Master Yi, a lot of Gangplank, and actually, is that going to be a mid lane Fiora or a mid lane Rumble?
Jungle Rumble, top lane Nunu?
No, it is not that. Carbon is playing Nunu. You calm down. It would make sense if they put Fiora into the mid lane matchup. I mean, AD champions have historically done well against Kassadin. We see Faker play things like Riven to really try and shut it down. Rumble, for a different reason, makes a lot of sense because the shove is really good out of Rumble, and he may be able to disappear into Fog of War and help other people out. But that is certainly a curveball thrown by Legacy in Game 1.
It is. It seems like Claire will be picking up the Rumble, but they still have another 24 seconds before they have to lock in where these two champions will go. For the Son of Sin, Dockler has picked up Jarvan as his top lane pick of choice since they've changed his shield slightly. A lot of top laners have been picking him up slowly. Pabu was one of the first in Oceania to start picking him up. We saw Fantix use it quite a lot of State of Origin. We also saw Chippies picking up the champion much more.
And this is interesting because that flex was that ambiguous. And now that we have a Fiora mid lane, I don't know if they really had a counter pick here. I mean, Jarvan was last pick, but doesn't really do all that well in Rumble. I think it's absolutely fine. But mid lane, Fiora into Kassadin. Claire has always been the person that I said that if I was going to start a team, Claire would be my top laner because I'm a really big fan of how flexible he is. He plays everything from AD carry champions to mid lane to top. And I think that he will be reasonably comfortable on this champion.
I think so too. It's going to be exciting to watch how Claire uses Fiora in the mid lane. It's a ban that we very commonly see banned out during the second ban rotation. And since they have both mid lane and top open, it seems like Sim were trying to ban out lots of mid laners there. It didn't quite work out. Now there's a big curveball. Excited to see if it's going to work out for Legacy though.
Yeah, the thing I'm worried about is a 2v2 actually kind of sucks out of Legacy. I mean, Nunu's going to walk in, snowball Ryoma, and he's actually just not going to care about it. So we'll see how that works out. I mean, I think that Gragas as well as Kassadin, especially at level 6, is going to have some legitimate kill threat. Bottom lane, I like the fact that they were able to priority pick Xayah because I don't think Braum does all that bad into Rakan. So interesting draft everywhere out of these guys.
I mean, on top of that, Braum does fantastically into Twitch, who likes to go in a straight line with his ultimates. But we're going to get into a pause as we kick things off. So with this time, as we're just going through some settings as well, just making sure they're all good.
Mouse speed apparently a little bit too high. Maybe a little bit too low. I don't know. Fuzzy people in the observing. I do think that Braum shuts down Twitch, but the other thing you have to be careful of in the Braum is that sometimes Twitch just lights you up. You put your shield up, all of a sudden he's got Runan's Hurricane, 3 bolts of ultimate. They're all flying into your face, and he does do a lot of damage. So it's not a bad matchup, sure, but late game, Braum has to definitely pick the moments to raise the door because otherwise he just gets blown up.
Yeah, he certainly does. We used to see this a lot with Kog'Maw, back when Kog'Maw had 5.0% attack speed whenever he uses his W.
Yep.
So that used to blow up Braum. So curious to see if that's going to happen with Twitch, and also curious to see what items he's going to pick up because we saw Runan's Hurricane kind of drop off slightly since the changes to the item. It no longer does on-hit damage on the bolt itself, but does do a lot more damage based on percentage of your attack anyway. So that's good for Twitch because he doesn't really rely on those on-hit spells as much as someone like Kog'Maw.
I mean, he potentially relies very heavily on the poison for the big expunges that come out in the mid-game team fights, but late game, you're exactly right. It's just all about lining everyone up and absolutely tearing them down. So I think that there's a potential of seeing Bork into Static Shiv and then going into a Hurricane if you want to go for a second Zeal item. Twitch, however, just with the ultimate, with the attack speed steroids that comes off the Q, is able to get towards that attack speed cap very quickly in the game.
And the changes to his W has made it so that his laning phase isn't as bad as anymore because if you stay in that puddle of poison, it slowly ticks up more and more damage.
Yeah, exactly right. And it also helps him clearing out waves. I mean, if you shove him in, he throws down the poison preemptively, generally gets 2 ticks on the front line and full ticks on the back, and he's able to just mow down the creep. So completely agree with you. He's certainly in a better spot than he has been historically in saying that looks like they're going to be running a genuine kill lane into him. We know already that Lost is very proficient on the Xayah. We know that Cupcake likes some melee supports, especially Braum, so they're going to be gunning for kills in that early game. Except around the map, I think there's just going to be interesting fights everywhere.
There is going to be. I mean, big elephant in the room is going to be that Fiora mid lane for Claire, a champion that we have only really seen played in the top lane since her rework. Never really mid lane, but there have been speculations on what can go against a Kassadin in that mid lane if you have an AP top.
Yeah, and we were maybe expecting things more like Jarvan to be flexed around, or maybe even something like a Riven to rear its ugly head. Everyone has nightmares about the days when Riven mid was actually good.
I know, at one point we were talking about Pantheon as well.
Yeah, exactly right. Pantheon's actually still not bad against Kassadin. It's just whether you want to play a horrible late game champion for the sake of winning 15 minutes of a laning phase. But I don't mind the Fiora. I mean, it's high mobility. It sets up 1-3-1. If you take teleport, you still have a legitimate 1-4. I mean, you're probably going to want to group with your Rumble at some point. So I think there are options here, and it has a good matchup into Jarvan if Jarvan takes the side lane as well. So I like it. Jarvan's flag and drag, very telegraphed, able to get him stunned up in that.
I mean, that could be a big curveball that Sin try and throw as well. They could send Ryoma to the top lane with his Kassadin, you know, eventually send Jarvan into the mid lane.
I mean, I expect Ryoma to start mid lane, but Kassadin side lanes very well at 1.5 items. 1.5 items survives the mid lane. 2 to 2.5, 3 items starts killing anyone in the mid lane. And we saw this kind of when Vic was able to send Kassadin top lane, and then it was counterpicked by a mid lane Lucian. And when Kassadin found Lucian during the mid game, was just able to chase him down. Lucian was no longer able to put out that much damage. And all of it comes back down to the fact that Ninja Tabbies at the moment are just such good boots. Doran's shield is incredibly cost efficient and slightly overpowered. I mean, we're seeing 6-ish a game at the moment, which means to me that there's probably 4 too many people buying it. Generally, it's only a top lane item. So I think that all these things together just are unlocking Kassadin. And if it's a Kassadin meta, if the game ever goes past 35 minutes, much like a Vladimir meta, it becomes very hard to win any kind of team fight or skirmish.
Yeah, it certainly does. Very mobile assassin who can one-shot anyone who doesn't have enough resistances in the back line. But another point out in this game is the fact that Carbon is on Nunu. What is his job coming into this game? Because he's up against a Gragas. As we mentioned, Juves, he's been able to set up those ganks. In fact, Gragas was a crucial pick for him in Game 5 against the Chiefs, where he was able to enable flares by getting first blood in the top lane.
He actually got first blood himself onto Swiper. Swiper took WQ on Renekton for some reason. But without going too much details into that, I think Carbon's job is to get good vision into Juve's jungle. I mean, what you want to do on Nunu is prioritize things like Big Wolf, Big Krog, and just be able to take them away, and then get deep vision on the 2 areas where you transverse through most. So that's behind red buff, where Juves is kind of right now, because that's where you catch him if he's going top lane or leaving his jungle. And in the bendy brush, just below mid lane turret, because that's generally where you go if you're going to path out of base. So as long as Carbon's able to keep one of those pink watered and, you know, get his Tracker's Knife nice and early and control vision on both sides of the map, be able to scout out where Juves is, you can tell one side of the map to play safe and then really punish hard through taking away crucial jungle creeps.
We'll have to see where Carbon decides to start in this game. So far, he's just trying to eye up Juves, see where Juves decides to start on Summoner's Rift.
Start on a big camp always with Nunu. He just does it so quickly. You want to get the instant level 2. You don't want to have to burn smart or anything like that.
Yep.
And then you also want to get a big tempo advantage. So I personally avoid things like Raptors at the start of the game because I want to be able to, you know, one-shot camp and then walk as quickly into the enemy jungle to be able to take over all of that area that Juves is prioritizing.
Yep, so Carbon is going to start on blue buff. Juves gets a good leash on his Raptor camp, so we'll start at that as well. Machete picked up by Carbon, whereas we see the Talisman has been picked up by Juves, a little bit more sustain for him. AD carries an interesting talking point. This FBI has gone for the Fervor of Battle. Lost has gone for Warlord's Bloodlust, which makes a little bit more sense on such a low-range AD carry.
Yeah, it certainly does. It gives you that movement speed, and movement speed really is crucial in this matchup.
And she doesn't buy lifesteal very early on anymore, thanks to the Essence Reaver build.
I mean, Essence Reaver build has always been better. People were flirting with the idea of Bork being good just because it was a strong item, but the way that the E scales with crit and the fact that you need cooldown reduction just makes Essence Reaver, Zeal item, or even double Zeal item really a no-brainer for Xayah at this point.
Xayah also quite a mana-hungry champion. After playing her a couple of times, you kind of realize that you can't just throw out all your spells and expect to do that again and again.
Especially not with Emax. I mean, if you play at Qmax, which is definitely suboptimal in my opinion, it really does hurt your mana pool throwing it out. Because really all your damage and pushing of the wave comes from your E in that case. So see whether Lost is able to win out on this lane. I expect it to be a very good lane for Lost and Cupcake. As I said, I think that they baited nicely the Rakan pick and then were able to get a comfortable Braum pick for Cupcake. Everything should be A-okay.
So far, bottom lane's been fairly even. Just a little bit of a lover's quarrel here between Rakan as well as Xayah. Mid lane, Claire trying to go aggressive against Ryoma. Both of them started with Doran's shield, have a couple of health potions.
How many have we got in this game? 6. We've got 6 Doran's shield.
In the jungle, though, you can already see Carbon making his first aggressive move towards Juice. Both of them have their double buffs. Carbon has cleared the entire top side of his jungle and has called upon Cupcake to help him out with this invade.
And this is what you expect. You can see straight away that Carbon's not really going to worry about Juve's damage until Rakan or Twitch joins him. He's taken away both Rift Scuttlers. He's got eyes on Juves, which is what you want to be able to do. So really, props to the Legacy jungle, controlling the tempo so far. Consume Smite would be able to steal this one away. Oh, he missed it.
Carbon didn't time that. Juves hits level 4. You can even see on the player camp, Carbon shaking his head after not timing that well enough.
It was actually way off as well. That was a good 150, 200 health, so a little bit interesting. I think that he expected the dunk of the barrel to come out slightly early and Juice to try and contest at the same time, so he preemptively smoked.
Well played from Juice, though.
Fantastically played.
Keep calm and cool against the Nunu. One big thing that does for Carbon is he's unlocked Tally and Claire. They can be as aggressive as they want. Rumble is going to push in Jarvan, and you expect Fiora to do the same against Cassidy, but we haven't seen this matchup at all, I believe.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, I don't think anywhere's really too well versed with the Fiora versus Cassidy mid lane matchup. But you can see right now, Ryoma hasn't had a shot off. Claire was able to get the wave to hit turret. Now it's bouncing back, so he's going to be absolutely fine. Going for the fighter build. Sword and a shield. Don't know what he uses the extra longsword for, but I want to repeat yesterday's conversation. We're not throwing swords at people.
Just, well, you can throw the shield.
Throw the shield at someone now. Captain America it
Throw the shield, pull out the other sword, then you've got 2 swords. You're good.
I like that idea better than to throw the sword. I don't know how easy you think it is to throw a sword, but I have a sneaking suspicion it might be difficult.
I mean, video games make it look easy. You've played Zelda?
Certainly have, actually. Great game. Here we go, Cupcake. A little bit aggressive down on the bottom one.
Yeah, get tags them both up with his passive, with no stun coming out. Good lay down of the poison from FBI. Stops Lost and Cupcake from advancing any further.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about as well. Nullifies a lot of the aggression. That was Cupcake going in very deep. And FBI and Rogue have actually managed to pick up a slight CS advantage on Twitch. And when you're even or ahead in lane as Twitch, you're in a happy spot. Not really burning all that. He hasn't burned a potion yet. Really no aggression coming out. And Lost and Cupcake continue to just shove in. And FBI looks really comfortable with this situation.
In the mid lane though, Claire's trying to do as much as he can against Ryoma. So far has built himself a nice 10 CS lead, but you expect a little bit more, especially since Ryoma is about to hit level 6.
I mean, when it's 40 to 30, 10 CS is actually a pretty big deal. The big thing for me is the fact that they're now letting the wave push in, and it looks like they actually want to get Carbon maybe involved in a gank, either in mid lane or top lane. See at level 5. The changes to Nunu that meant that you get a very big ultimate at level 6 now. Will help us out. Ooh, nice little trade there coming out of
course. Ryoma's magic shield whenever he uses his Q, not very effective in this matchup.
I mean, is your W even magic? I don't know if he has any magic damage. It's a big wave. It is 15 CS right now. So he's going to face check.
Yeah, slap him, Carbon. Get that, Gragas. But everyone's actually collapsing here, so we should have our first skirmish. Good damage already on towards Juice. He gets to the blast cone. Can he get over? Yes, he can. And now Java's created a pit. Good equalizer from Tally to make sure Dockler has to back
Probably
off.
first blood here.
No rotation from Ryoma means Dockler's in trouble. Tries to turn around towards Carbon. Can't get enough damage down. And Claire will pick up first blood on Fiora.
And you can see that that's what they were just setting up for. They bounced the wave simultaneously. Tally even held his. And then they were able to rotate into the jungle earlier. They get both summoner spells out of both Dockler and Juice. Burn some in response. But now there's going to be pressure onto the red buff. As long as Carbon doesn't take the initial damage, Consume will keep him nice and healthy.
Teleport. Dockler burning that nice and early to try and stop this.
That's worthwhile straight away. Because now you can make the bottom lane play with Rumble, who has the shove on Pantheon. Pantheon has been able to pick up a Tiamat, so might be able to nullify that a little bit. But as we mentioned yesterday, Jarvan lanes just become a war of attrition. Can I get enough damage down before I run out of mana to really stop Rumble shoving into me?
He has picked up his Tiamat, which on top lane is very vocal. That's when Jarvan comes online. You see Dockler trying to trade, but that's actually just disgusting. Tally. Oh,
if he hit that harpoon, he was dead. Tally has flash. 100% could have all-in'd him there. Double pot used as well. Dockler has both running.
Does Tally stay here, though? If he stays, it's a dangerous spot because Juice is just behind Dockler.
I mean, the wave hit the turret, so I don't think Tally's all that disturbed by it. He's going to push back in his favor. You can see that he's just holding He's overheat there. Doppler doesn't have ultimate. Tally has flash, so that was a very hard gank for Juice to execute upon.
But this is big. He's forced Doppler back to base, so despite the CS discrepancy, Tally can no-go back, and like you mentioned, can try and make that play bottom due to the teleport discrepancy between these two teams. In fact, it's double teleport for Legacy to none right now, because both Ryoma and Doppler have used their teleports.
Big plays are available right now. However, not going to happen for the next couple of minutes, as Legacy are just going to recall their bottom lane, get the first shot in. It's going to be BF Sword on the way to what looks like that Essence Reaver nice and early. Carbon runs AD on his Nunu. As you can see, he's got 83 AD. The reason for that is because it helps out your clear a little bit. Plus, you get all that additional attack speed from Blood Boil, and you're able to wail on people with red buff. He just thinks it's better at chasing people out of the jungle and doing some meaningful damage. I like it so far. You can see that as he was chasing dudes, he was doing some pretty meaningful damage.
He was. People underestimate the auto attacks from champions that you don't expect to have AD from. I remember top lane Alistar was a big one. When he punched you with his ultimate up, you'd be a little bit scared.
That was actually just gross.
Meanwhile, Legacy get a good invade going and take away blue buff, which is crucial because now Ryoma does not have blue buff at the moment. Sin have to make a proactive move to try and take blue buff away from Legacy.
But this is actually the submarine play they're looking for because FBI's here.
Here they go. They lock down Claire first. He uses the riposte to negate some damage. Jumps back in. The equalizer will come down from Rumble. Here comes Tally right in the back lines. On top of Rogue. Can't make up his mind up on who he wants to chase. Ryoma jumps in. Gets a double kill onto the captain of Legacy. Juice body pops back in. Good ultimate from Lost. He'll lock down one. Sin are going to lose their jungler. Suddenly Ryoma and FBI both in trouble. Rakan picks off Braum. Ryoma's trying to run back in. Looking for another ultimate. Rogue's going to jump to his side. Tally slowly burning them alive. They're both going to try and retreat in towards a Legacy's jungle.
But this has taken so long that it actually looks like potentially they're going to... Oh, they got...
Lost.
Oh.
He gets one kill, but it's returned by Rakan. The Lover Pickle is won by Rogue. And still, such a prolonged team fight.
Yeah, it certainly was. And in the end, Tally's missed out on like 20 CS in the top lane. He's going to be able to clean up mid because it was Claire that burnt his teleport to save the turret. But across the map, a really sloppy 4v5 out of Legacy. And Sin make them pay by picking up 2 kills onto their Casnet.
That's big for Ryoma. Take a look at that fight again. Absolute Zero instantly interrupted.
Yeah, really nicely done there. And it's actually the fact that Claire dove back in. I have a feeling if he had have let the equalizer come down, had have let Juve burn a little bit more than look for the execute, the heal would have been crucial in the fight fit. But really, Ryoma being unlocked, Lost showing his mechanics here, able to get a really nice ultimate into his E with multiple feathers out, set up the rest of the team fight. And maybe the saving grace is the fact that Rogue picked up 2 of these kills. Because you feel like if Ryoma got all 4, game nearly would have been over. And they were within reach for it.
They certainly were. 2 kills on towards the support. Not great, but Sin should still be able to use that quite effectively. They have swapped back, so again, Rumble's headed back to the top lane. Claire is now in the mid lane.
It actually looks like Nunu is trying to sneak Rift Herald at the moment. They've called Juves into Tally's lane. Tally has the equalizer, can just drop it if he sees Juves and walk away. And you can see this is actually really good heads-up play out of Carbon. We said that he has to control vision. That's all his job is.
But top side of the map, Tally is in trouble. Juves is going to come up here. There's no flash veil. Tally is dead. Alley-oop from Juves to pick up the kill. So Rift Herald traded for a top lane kill.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Juves is able to go in there. He actually picks up the kill himself. And now the all-in coming out of Claire.
Claire has to be careful because bottom lane is rotating for Sin. Ryoma's trying to back off to them. Rakan doesn't get the knockout. Claire goes in, still gets the kill. He's now going straight back on towards FBI. It's going to be a tough task for him. Good charm coming out from Rogue. Double buff is alive. But can he get him? Almost takes down FBI as well. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but that looked great from Claire.
And Claire is absolutely popping off. He's 14 CS up now. Was able to get a kill in amongst a 1v3 and nearly took down FBI as well, who you could see just did not want to burn summoner spells for that one. Very close thing. However, the fact that FBI has now been able to early rotate to 2 team fights and is still absolutely fine when it comes to CS is a little bit of a worrying sign for the Legacy bottom lane.
Cupcake and Lost try to get an engage going down on towards Rogue. He's currently got 2 kills on his Rakan. Lost has picked up his BF sword, but FBI, he's got his Blade of the Ruined King ready to go. Yeah,
I mean, Lost has also gone back and picked up Tabbies. As we said, one of the things about Xayah is the fact that she is so short-ranged. I feel like Tabbies as well as Shield are just a must-purchase at the earlier stages of the game when you have things like a Jarvan that's going to be able to dive on you, as well as a Twitch that can get very close. So not surprised by that. You can see Dockler now building a 30 CS lead. The analyst desk was mentioning that they didn't really have high hopes for the young man that's over from North America. Of course, another import for Sin in the top lane. But has been performing quite well so far.
Yes, he's performed very well. He looks comfortable on Jarvan. Seems like he knows the ins and outs of the champion. Hasn't had much impact map-wise so far, just in his lane alone. So curious to see how the late game's going to go for Sin, where they have great team fight potential. It's like Sin.
Yeah, they certainly do. I mean, Jarvan really just has to lock down the very immobile Rumble as well as Xayah. And then Kassadin should be able to leap in and finish them off. Set up a nice line for FBI as well, who, as we keep mentioning, is doing very well in the current game.
After the initial skirmishes, things have kind of quietened between Legacy and Sin. 5 to 6 in kills. The small 300 gold lead for Sin, but they're engaging towards FPR.
I mean, that was a little bit optimistic there. They land the door. However, they didn't really account for the fact that there was going to be a Rakan so close behind. You can see that Carbon wants to make a play in this bottom lane. You feel if there isn't all in, can just drop down the Herald afterward. Not sure if he's spotted out by that ward. Certainly isn't.
Wonder if that's why he's here, because Herald's about to expire, potentially?
Potentially.
Looks like he's going to come in and do what Nunu does best, which is push out waves. Or walk away from the bottom lane. Okay.
I mean, he forced in on that very hard, is able to get vision over the blue buff area, clears out a ward, and he's going to also clear a pink in the Dragon Pit. So definitely not a waste of time. Also answers any pressure that Juves wanted to have, as Ryoma actually burns TP again to get towards the mid lane.
Yep, back in the mid lane he goes. He's picked up his Rod of Angels though, so he's going to start stacking up. His Vanguard complete as well.
See whether he gets close to the trinity of fantastic items for the Kassadin. Of course, you want to have the Zhonya's Hourglass as well as the Lich Bane before you really start taking over the game. Matchups where he can build Lich Bane second certainly favor Kassadin. Here we go.
Oh mate, Harold as he makes his way to the mid lane. That turret is fairly low, so...
They've already got 3 members here, however, Fish. So it's going to be a little bit difficult to see in on it.
That's what they were looking for. That charge, that's going to be able to be enough to take down mid lane outer. Sin have grouped up, so they will stop the Riptail from going any further forward.
That's nice play. In fact, they don't even overextend. They know that the Twitch has already disappeared from bottom lane. They knew the Rakan was around. So as you said, they were looking for 1 charge, a couple of cheeky auto attacks, and then they can disengage. If any chase is forthcoming, they can just absolute zero out of Nunu and successfully disengage. So I like that out of Legacy. They're not forcing the game. They just had an opportunity to take down mid lane turret, the most important turret on the game, and they do it very cleanly.
That's given Legacy a nice 800 gold lead here against Sin. Nothing too drastic, but they'll be happy to have that at the moment. Ravenous Hydra was picked up by Claire. So that's the item build of choice for everyone that would like to terrorize solo queue after OPL tonight.
With the old mid lane Fiora. They'll never see it coming. I feel like you do have to be good in the matchup though, because if Kassadin in a short lane is ever able to just freeze in CS the way that Ryoma kind of is now, there's a lot of pressure to get ahead, and you can see that the response to that is to bring in the duo lane to the middle side of the map and to swap potentially the Fiora up against Dockler now, where
like
there definitely is 1v1 potential.
So Fiora's actually teleported to the top lane.
Makes sense. Claire definitely enjoys farm.
And it looks like Lost as well as Cupcake will be sitting in the mid lane with Carbon, Rumble, so we're pushing on the bottom side of the map. So 1-3-1 potentially from Legacy.
Yeah, certainly looks to be the case. And the thing is that Kassadin certainly doesn't have the best wave clear in the game for mid laners. So pushing into Kassadin should be relatively easy. Carbon using this time to continually find Juves.
And whack him a couple of times.
And this is all Nunus want to do. They want to locate where the jungler is, and you can see straight away he's like, Juves is top side of the map. Let's back away top. Let's instead play towards the mid lane. In fact, they're actually bringing more people up, so maybe that's not the call at all. Maybe it's let's just kill both of them.
Hey, Juves, I heard you like a Brom. I'm going to send one towards your way. Cupcake makes his way towards the top side. Dockler and Juves trying to defend that top lane turret. Lost. It looked like he was going to rotate up as well, but now it's just going to be a 3-on-2. They're going for a cheeky dive here. Ultimate used by Clay. He's taking up the turret. Needs to disengage from that. But that was questionable from Legacy.
Yeah, a little bit of a wasted ultimate there, and I don't know if it's because they don't have eyes on Rakan at the moment, although he has been drifting around mid lane, or whether they just didn't want to force and Claire didn't get that memo. You can see that actually for Sin right now, I would say they have the best lane assignments they can get because they've got a Kassadin up against a Rumble, completely fine in that matchup. They've got Jarvan, who's, you know, up in CS and doing quite well against the Fiora and seems to just be able to wave clear underneath the turret successfully. And mid lane, they're bouncing waves. So Sin look quite comfortable in the current matchup.
They too. Legacy still have the gold lead. Baron's coming up in the next minute, and the first Mountain Dragon of the game is still up for grabs. Noticing has really looked towards
Oh, he's done it. That's Hingers.
Ah, Hinger's got a tweet on broadcast. Wow, that's impressive itself.
Certainly is.
Never thought I'd see the day.
And I agree with him. I mean, Doppler looks good in the opening matchup.
He does.
Certainly hasn't really made many mistakes. I guess got engaged upon pretty hard throughout the river, but I think that was just Juice calling for the collapse. So.
It's going towards Black Cleaver. It's the second item. Already picked that up, actually. Tiamat was his first. So more of a damage build on his Jarvan. Curious to see if he now moves towards the Titanic Hydra, which
Yeah, I
is
think he
normally
will.
what you see from him and, from Jarvans and Kleds, and then go straight towards Resistance afterwards.
I think that's the best build right now.
Which is a good build because there's that new Resistance item, which makes you incredibly tanky as soon as you use it.
Gargoyle Stoneplate.
That's right.
As long as you're in the middle of the team when you activate it, get so many resistances. Also the fact that Jarvan's W scales very well with how many people are around you. You can see that Legacy identified the fact that they actually weren't able to do all that much with Tally into Ryoma, so they swapped the lane matchup back.
Claire's next pick up there, as you saw on your screen, was
Hex
the
Drinker.
Hex Drinker.
Interesting.
So that could kind of tell us that he wants to be up against Ryoma at this point in time.
I want to know at level 16 with some cooldown reduction who wins the race. If Ryoma can run away quick enough, or whether Claire can actually catch him.
So I think Claire can catch him if he hits
So vital.
every single Q. He has to hit a Q. If he misses a single Q, that's it, Ryoma's gone.
It's also easy to get over walls with Kassadin. Fiora struggles in that regard. Kassadin can flash all the fat walls. Unfortunately, for Fiora players, you still can't do it. So it might be terrain-dependent fish.
And if Claire's running away, there's no hope for him.
Absolutely zero hope. If he ever is weaker than Ryoma, he will just die.
He seems confident at the moment. That turret is getting pretty low. During this time, Carbon is going to start on the Mountain Dragon. That's
Here we
a
go.
Zonya's being used by Ryoma in between the Claire ultimate.
Yeah, underneath the turret as well. So obviously very confident in this. Carbon misses another smite. Left that one on 10 HP, although Juice wasn't really all that close. So no harm, no foul out of the Nuno.
So they pick up Mountain Dragon for themselves, which is nice to have in a split pushing team
Three
competition.
members, not A-clicking through a brush, just leave a blue ward there as well. That was very peculiar to see.
Sin trying to capitalize on this by moving into the mid lane, but Claire has already taken down bottom lane outer turret.
And I want to see whether Lost is putting into points into his Q second or into his W. His W.
Q last.
Yeah, so that's what I like to do as well. Surely not.
Coach just
Absolutely.
blatantly copying the tweet that Hinger's
Well,
put
we
out.
don't know who came first. There's no timestamp. I like to think that Hinger's copied Jish. I'm getting confirmation in my ear that Hinger's definitely copied Jish. That's good to know. Thank you very much.
Who's next? My goodness.
But this has been a very slow mid game. I mean, Legacy have just continued to knock down turrets and build up, I guess, a pretty natural gold lead of 2,500. And lots of it have just been through good vision control and good pressure around the map.
So does this gold lead ever stop for Legacy? And I don't mean in the
Yeah,
sense
when
that can they
Kassadin gets
stop?
6 items.
So 6 items Kassadin's
I
where
mean,
gold doesn't
not
matter.
really 6 items, like 3 item Kassadin is when he becomes a Terror.
He's at
Now
2 now.
multiple members behind Dockler, not able to really get much. Rakan also looking to face check.
They've got FBI as well as Dupes close by, so Dockler's pretty safe.
Yeah, it certainly is. Here we go.
Claire trying to engage on towards Ryoma.
Behind him.
There's
Oh,
hit.
he changes.
Pops the vitals. He's going straight towards him. That's a flash being burnt by Ryoma.
Well, there we have the answer. At level 14, Claire wins the foot race. He is definitely quicker, but you can see how far he backs away because he's scared until Twitch shows in that mid lane. It is going to be Runan's second still on the Twitch, so even though he doesn't apply the poison.
I mean, makes sense, as we said earlier. He relies a lot more on his attack damage, not so much the on-hit effects of items or abilities. And now that Runan's Hurricane does more damage on its bolts based on your attack damage. I'm curious that Lost has gone for Runan's though. Xayah is already a very short-range champion. Before that, they're actually engaging on towards Juice. Will body rock away.
Yeah, I mean, there's no real hope unless you bring one of your carries of killing Juice. He is pretty tanky at this stage of the game. So you can see that it was all just to unlock the top side of the map. So now they knock out all 3 outer turrets. They're winning the split push pretty hard at this stage of the game, Fish. Baron will be the next objective, definitely, that they look at.
And it almost feels like unless they can get Ryoma into a matchup against Tally, or unlock him against Claire, this is just going to continue for Legacy.
Yeah, I mean, but Sin are just going to continue to scale. They're not really all that worried about it. They've got the Twitch. They've also got the Cassidy. They're going to be able... Ooh, that was a little bit unfortunately timed. You thought that Juice maybe was looking for one there. The big thing for me, however, is this is an opportunity for Legacy to show that they've actually put in some work over the offseason in fixing some of their Baron play. Because during the Gauntlet run, did not have the most promising Barons. I mean, I think we had a couple stolen away from them.
Yeah.
I think we had a couple of botched attempts where they were trying to bait Baron and they hadn't properly swept out the river and the Baron pit.
I'm pretty sure one of the analysts on the analyst has said, if Sin don't go anywhere close to Baron this game, they will win. And they went to Baron and lost. But hopefully they cleaned it up quite nicely here. We haven't seen either team really posture towards Baron yet. You'd have to think that Legacy will be the first team to do so.
There we go. This is what we expected to see.
Submarine, Doppler misses the flag drag, but FBI shows himself.
Oh my goodness.
So much damage from Claire. He flashes for that one. Now on top of FBI. Good Prism being locked down by Doppler. He's now trapped, but flashes over for the wall. FBI picks up the kill. They had to work for it, but they come out on top.
Yeah, they had to burn Heal Fish. I mean, Heals and Flash coming out in a 2v1, and that means that all of a sudden Nunu as well as the AD carrier on Baron, they're going to teleport in.
Oh, big charm coming out from Rogue. He'll knock off everyone there. Ultimate used by Tally, stopping Sin from getting into the pit.
Oh, that's a big equalizer.
Absolute zero being channeled, and one by one, Sin will fall. Triple kill picked up by the top laner. Big team fight for Legacy.
And turns out Legacy has fixed their Baron play. As soon as they see 2 people bottom, they just pull the trigger. They know they have the Nunu. They know that a steal is important because Carbon's a higher level, and he has the consume. And Tally holds the equalizer for the perfect opportunity. Carbon this time waits for the absolute zero as well until all the CC is out, and they just blow Sin to smithereens.
It almost looked like it was going to go in Sin's favor. Teleport came in. Rogue had the fantastic charm into knock-up there. They just couldn't execute perfectly enough, and even without Claire, still able to pick up that team fight.
I mean, the big thing for me is that FBI just wasn't there. Let's take another look at it. FBI as well as Jarvan are in the bottom lane. So we can see that even though a good engage is here, you know, we're getting good damage out. Really, you're fighting 2v4 right now? Finally, Doppler is able to join in, and look at that equalizer and absolute zero combo. Just blows everyone up. Tally picks up a triple kill. They grab Baron. They're going to be able to rotate now into a very strong 1-3-1. And it's a Trinity Force picked up by Claire. Actually not going with Black Cleaver.
Trinity Force is third. Oh, sorry, second almost coming up to Claire. But another big thing we haven't talked about Legacy's team comp is the fact that even though they're a split pushing team, they have good team fight because of the red-blue carpet. They've got Braum, who can use his ultimate on top of Tally's ultimate. Now we saw an absolute zero coming into play with it as well.
Yeah, as well as the fact that Lost is going to be pulling feathers through everyone. They have a lot of AoE damage. I think what we're getting at, they also have legitimate side lane pressure with how well Claire has been able to play this Fiora.
I'm surprised at how well he is playing the champion. Traditionally, top laners are playing side lane.
Ryan, a little bit of trouble.
We'll back off here. Rogue is being able to show up with Juice to make sure they can protect this bottom lane in the turret.
This is something that the Chiefs struggled with yesterday, however. The fact that such low range on the AD carry, you can see that's why probably going towards a Hexdrinker or a little bit more of a defensive build. However, with Fire Drake up, there's no reason to force unnecessarily. Just grab that. You've already got Claire scaling nicely into the late game. It's going to help out the Rumble as well.
That's great for the Fiora as well as the Rumble. Lost won't benefit as much, but still help him slightly. Eternal Dragon is one of the most contested objectives on Summoners Rift at the moment.
I mean, normally I'd agree that... Oh, here we go. 3v1 again.
3-on-1, but that's the teleport coming in from Tally. Claire's still alive. He's going on top of Doppler. Ultimate's used, but it doesn't matter. Claire's already picked up a single kill. Roma wants in for more. Tally's just going to stand and burn the Cassidy. Claire again, outnumbered, can still pick up a kill for himself.
Exactly right. And time again, he's just able to draw people in. And normally I'd agree that Lost doesn't really benefit from having Infernal Drakes, but really, he's going Infinity Edge as his next item. So you're going to have absolutely massive crits coming out.
Sid trying to look for an engage and knock off Cupcake, but immediately Rakan's forced to back out. FBI will flash away using the Rat-a-tat tap. Knocks down Legacy fairly low, but they can't find the opportunity to go for the kill.
Yeah, and that's what it's really about. That was desperation used there. FBI had the flash. Carbon just pegged a snowball at him and minimizes a lot of the damage that is going to be coming out. And you can see that potions being picked up right now. Legacy feel like they have the opportunity to really take over this game. They feel that Ryoma at level 16 might be able to take over. Isn't there yet, hasn't been able to pick up the third item.
It feels like that level 16 is going to time well with the Lich Bane, as you mentioned.
Yep. So they do need to make big inroads into breaking into this base. Baron is nearly done. That is a very tall Nunu with the Iron Elixir.
He's going to do what Nunu does best, Blood Boil the AD carry and just push to win. Infinity Edge being picked up by FBI as well. So once Cassidy does hit 16, which he has, gets his Lich Bane,
And it's
going back for
FBI
now.
hit 16 as well. I mean, there is still legitimate team fight that comes out of this scene lineup. They're 9,000 gold behind, 8,000 gold behind. But really, when you have a Twitch, when you have a Cassim, anything becomes possible.
Yeah.
No
Now-
legitimate tanks apart from really Carbon and Cupcake. Carbon you can pretty much ignore after you interrupt the absolute zero.
So now now Sin could look for a fight. They might be a little bit disappointed that during this time they've just come online, but they've sacrificed a lot of gold for that. They're 9,000 gold behind Legacy. Not the comfortable position you want to be when you want to try and take flights to a team.
And also the fact that Legacy is being pretty diligent here in sweeping out Vision, getting rid of a lot of the teleport wards, although there's one that they've missed now on top of red buff.
Yep.
So potentially Ryoma can go to that. However, it doesn't look like Sin really want to fight.
No, they sack top lane in the turret. They want to fight close to their base or an objective, it feels. I mean, inside the jungle with absolute zero. Grom ultimate, equalizer, feathers everywhere. Not great.
Definitely is the case, but you're just building a bigger hole for yourself. All of a sudden, they go back, they pick up the Infinity Edge on the Xayah. Going to be absolutely massive now. Claire goes back, picks up a Maw. He's going to be very hard to deal with now that Lifeline is there, especially given the fact that he's been so good at proccing those ultimates.
Coach Cyclone. Coach and TM tweeting in there. Hope they call this comp the Song of Ice and Fire. Don't disagree. Maybe you chuck in a Brand in the mid lane instead of the Fiora, and it'd be perfect.
I mean, I think we could get closer.
Brand is
Xayah's in a winter outfit. I mean, it's very blue.
Oh, get Annie in there, then we really got fire going.
I hate Annie. You're
It's a
a
great
big LS
champion.
fan, aren't you? LS, put that Annie on all of these killers.
Got 4,000 games on that champion. Don't you dare diss Annie.
I like it when DFG was in the game. When you could flash DFG, Tibbers, the whole team. That was fun.
I used to be a rower, Annie. That was fun. You just get so tanky when you press E.
Here comes FBI, actually, maybe looking for Carbon. I feel like can't unload on Carbon from close range over because he's just going to snowball and he's going to get so much of the damage.
Trying to engage on towards Cupcake.
Interesting choice.
The best idea at the moment. Rogue is trying to dash back out. FBI's being tagged by a snowball. Legacy look like they want to go for this fight. Equalizer used nice and early. FBI incredibly low. Will get knocked up by Braum, but he turns back around. Rat-a-tat-tat Juice. Already got one kill. Rakan able to get back out. Claire is trying to find his way into the team fight. Tally trying to take down FBI. Will get that kill. It's a 3-on-3 to kick things off. Claire trying to dive into the back lines. Has to get a heal from Lost to get out of there. They still win the team fight, but it's very close from Sid.
Yeah, it certainly is, but Tally ended up underneath turrets. Not Tally, sorry, Claire. I'm just used to calling Tally the Fiora player. So Claire able to dive in underneath turrets is still so dangerous that they can't really go anywhere near him. And that means that they're going to turn around, start up the Baron. You can see Cassidy wants in.
Yeah, they're coming back for it. That's a teleport used by Claire. Teleport
Ooh,
just
the
used
face
by
check is here,
Ryoma.
though.
He's got to be careful. We'll have to re-walk away. No, goes straight back in. Kills Tally. Lost now trying to kite back. Looking for the kills. Claire will come back in. Not going to be enough. The feathers are ripped out and Juves can't get close enough to the blast cone.
Yeah, and the problem is now the jungler is dead and it opens up the Baron. Doppler can teleport here, so they still need to be careful. Until Carbon comes, they really aren't all that safe.
They're going to try. Doppler does have teleport. Rom is making his way down to Selma's new
Oh my goodness, run Cupcake. Nah, it's going to die before anything really goes wrong.
They ripped through this man way too quick. Claire as well as Lost take that down.
So really an exciting game so far out of Legacy. They're 13,000 gold up. Sure, Sin do still have a good team fighting comp, but really it just seems that the damage is too high right now. coming out of Claire, coming out of Tally, and lost his positioning relatively well. Once again, it's just so hard to kill the AD carry of Legacy's lineup.
Top of that team fight threw everything in FBI. It looked like he was about to pull off the perfect ultimate on Twitch. Tally was very critical in that fight, flashing on top of the Twitch as soon as he got into the rhythm of using Rat-a-tat-tat, so he can't just focus on spraying and praying.
I mean,
Made
the
sure
other
he was
thing is
taken
that majority of the time he has a snowball on him at the moment. And the negative attack speed of Snowball is just so frustrating to deal with as an AD carry.
With that, Legacy going to look to try and take down another Elemental Dragon for themselves. Mouse Dragon picked up, so now have two of those and an Inferno. Elder Dragon's the next dragon to spawn on Summer's Rift.
And I think you have to get rid of Carbon's Nunu. I think that he's just so annoying and frustrating to play against on this. You can see that he's just like in the rhythm. He's running around, taking away the whole jungle, just chilling, sweeping out wards. And this is where Legacy is at their best. When Carbon's on a big, beefy frontliner, doesn't really have to worry about anything apart from keeping his team safe and getting good vision for Legacy.
Sin now forced to defend inside of their own base. I think they'd be pretty happy with trying to defend from this position. Now, Baron Buff minions, they're going to be difficult for Sin to deal with. They don't have very much wave clear.
But there's also the fact that I just don't think anyone can answer Tally. Claire, damn it. No one can answer Claire. And he's going to be able to push in unharassed if any... Oh, Carbon's in the middle of the team.
Carbon in. He's going to eat a minion, try and use Absolute Zero. Doesn't get a full channel off. FBI forced to flash back. This is a 4-on-4 without Claire. And Sin already look like they're losing a fight.
However, they do manage to send them back because Lost also had to get the heck out of Dodge in that fight. So they're going to be able to withdraw. What I was going to say is I think that if they just keep it in 1-4, Claire can legitimately dive Dockler at this point in the game. And there's not really all that much you can do. However, they go for the team fight instead. A little bit of mis-execution there with Carbon getting knocked into the team. Now that he has GA, Claire can definitely turret dive. As long as it's a 1v1. Fiora becomes really annoying in the 1v1.
Guardian Angel has been reworked as well.
Gives
Doesn't
AD.
give you as much resistances now. I believe it doesn't give you any magic resistance, but gives you armor and AD. So it's great for champions like Fiora. Good in AD carries as well.
Nocturne. Great item on Nocturne. And you can see once again, they're not really making the map big. They've finally got Tally walking in bottom lane, Claire on top side. But until the rest of the team really joins down there with Tally, not going to open up everything. You can see now they add the Baron buff down here as well.
Tagged up, doesn't have any room to get in amongst this. Bottom lane inhibitor turret taken down nice and easy. Already using his Riftwalk to try and run away. Carbon lead up a minion. He's happy to go toe-to-toe. Top side of the map. They've actually killed Claire once. Pop him into GA, so they've taken down Claire. But they do lose an inhibitor for that trade.
I mean, mission accomplished, really. You lose Claire, but all of a sudden they've opened up the bottom lane inhibitor. Xayah struggles so hard to get in.
And
Potentially looking for a teleport here, but nothing to be had.
And on top of that, if you look at the top lane inhibitor turret, that's almost dead.
Yeah.
Claire almost took down an inhibitor turret by himself in a 2-on-1.
And he also nearly won the fight. Dockler, once again, was on very low health. Still continuing to go for aggression.
Incoming Fiora mid laners and solo queue. Called it. It's going to happen. I'm not playing any League of Legends tonight.
We'll be interested to see if he goes for more lifesteal. Something like a Bloodthirster is his last item.
I mean, he'd have 3 items that gave him lifesteal, which would be pretty crazy. Ravenous, Lifeline. He'd be near unkillable.
You can see that also Lost is going towards his last item. Doesn't feel like he needs any kind of armor penetration here, which is a little bit strange. He's going for lifesteal as well.
I mean, if you look at the builds coming out, not much armor on the team. Rhymer's got a little bit. Jukes and Doppler still building their first component, so it seems like he's fairly healthy.
Yeah, I agree, but they are getting closer towards Rand, which will mean that out of nowhere they're going to have a lot of lifesteal, a lot of armor and resistance to crit, which is a lot of the damage that's going to come out of Lost as well.
I would have liked it more if Claire had a Black Cleaver, so at least there's some shred on the team. It's not now. So he's like he's valuing being able to survive much longer, more than actually trying to get down quick. Legacy though, make quick work of what Claire started off with the top side map. They take down the inhibitor turret, but here's a
we go.
charm, it's a charm. Knockups galore as everyone's going for a big old fight. FBI instantly obliterated the backlines by Tally. A dome has been created by Doppler, but it just keeps the inevitable from happening here as Legacy will mow down Sin one by one. Only the Captain Juice is left alive, and that was over as quick as it started by Legacy.
Yeah, it certainly was. I mean, Sin started that fight. Rogue got it engaged. However, there's just too much damage left. Claire was able to clean up the fight, and it looks like Legacy is going to take game one.
The Hail Mary play from Sin did not work out. Juves is trying to valiantly defend his Nexus. It's not going to be enough. With that ace, Legacy will take down Sin in game number 1.
And a really fun game out of Legacy. I mean, they run through with a fighter mid lane in Fiora. Claire did incredibly well the whole game in the split push. And it went to 40 minutes against a Kassadin, against a Twitch, but they just kept composure. They were far enough ahead, and they were able to make the team fights work.
Interesting picks. We saw Nunu in the jungle for Carbon. As you mentioned, we get the Fiora mid lane coming out from Claire. And on top of that, Tally, Lost, Cupcake, all still looking good. Sin, though, they should still keep their heads high after that because it was a decent performance from them.
I mean, it was all right, but they were just behind at every stage of the game. And I don't think they ever really had a look in because of just how much control Legacy had around the map. As I said, just get rid of the Nunu. You know that that is Carbon's most comfortable champion by a long way, and he was just able to get vision on Juves time and time again. There was none of that dynamic Juves playmaking that we just love seeing towards the end of Split 1, where he was, you know, cheeky jungle pathing, getting into Flair's lane, helping him out, good team fight starts, because when you have two supportive champions, Nunu's just able to go in, sweep out the whole jungle, set up his own vision. It's hard to engage on him. It's hard to get through him. You add a Braum to that mix, it becomes nigh impossible. And unfortunately, they just left themselves too few options.
And I mean, Dockler had a good start to the game, but it just seems like he wasn't set up for success in the top lane.
I mean, when you're against a Fiora, no one wins the split push. I mean, it's inevitable that she's going to get to the 3-item mark. She's going to start taking over, especially given the fact you had a Trinity Force in there. I mean, it was really going to be hard. They did try the 2v1 with Twitch coming across. The problem was Claire was just too far ahead and was nearly 2v1ing that. So, I mean, Dockler played all right for me. I think the matchup is just not good.
Yep, a unique team comp from Legacy helps them pick up the first game victory here over Sins, and are now 1-0 in this best-of-3 series. But to break down that game further, let's send it back to the analyst desk.
Thank you, Fish. Thank you, Spawn. Well, there we have it. Legacy taking that first game. And I want to start by talking about how this is kind of a different type of Legacy versus Sin game to what we would have seen last split. In particular, last split what we saw was Sin going hard very early in the games and just kind of really taking to them. Today, seeming a little bit more passive, a little bit more conservative. Do you think this is because of maybe some changes? They're still adjusting to this new team, Ejim?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, put it down to maybe their new top laner, Dockler, coming in. There's still some adjustment changes, but it is like the first week of the OPL, right?
Yeah.
Like people have been like in between the splits, like having a break, I guess, coming back. This is the first game of the split for these teams, so there's definitely going to be a lot of nerves back on the line, coming back into the studios. And yeah, it was just a lot slower than we would expect out of these two teams.
Yeah, I mean, Jish, do you kind of agree with that? Do you feel like, I mean, you would have seen them last split, especially in the...
I mean, I was on the desk for this game, so yeah, I do remember that.
I mean, is the Cinderella kind of story being arrested by Legacy? Have they kind of worked them out finally?
I think, yeah, sort of as Bryce said, it's the first week of OPL, right? Everyone's both like a little bit nervous and a little bit rusty. So I think that the slower game on Legacy's behalf was just more that they were scaling and that they just wanted to close the game out like slowly and methodically. They didn't want to like have any mistakes, and maybe Sin just you know, on the rusty side of things weren't prepared, didn't have a lot of ideas in mind, or just a bit slow out of the gates, I guess.
Well, the talking points out of this are, I think, Carbon's Nunu is an interesting talking point, and also Fiora mid, I think we all want to talk about as well. So, Destiny, what's the kind of like thought process, do you think, behind Fiora? Is it just as a counter to the Kassadin in some way, or is it bringing other stuff to the team comp as well?
I think that the Fiora pick was actually really, really good in this draft because he can match the Jarvan and the Kassadin. So the real win condition for Sin was pretty much taken away because they had to pick Twitch because of the 80 carry bans. Yeah. So pretty much their only engage was Gragas. So that was the only way of like forcing mid. So eventually the Fiora has a good lane matchup and she gets the outscale. So she can just do whatever she wants. And when they tried the collapse on them, they got Baron for free. So I think the Fiora was a very smart pick and it worked out really well for them.
Yeah, and I think the Fiora was definitely something that Legacy had prepared, obviously. But with the cast third pick for Sin, namely on the red side, they get to pick that and they get to ban 2 counters immediately, and they banned the Ori and the Lucian, right? So like they were picking Kassadin, expecting to have a good matchup in the mid lane, and then Legacy preparing the Fiora means that they lose that matchup, and then Legacy just answer with the 80 carry bans, and they have a losing matchup bot side, and then they just had nothing to do, I guess. They just had losing lanes all over the map, and it was just really hard for Juves to make plays early. And then, as we were talking about, the Fiora is just going to outscale, wins both splits, and it just felt like really rough. Like I don't know. Like I feel like there was a large fault in the draft for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the draft, I think it's just that they secured maybe one of the better matchups into Nunu. So Nunu is really good against things like Lee Sin, Graves, who rely on their attack speed for skirmishing. Gragas is obviously ability focused, so he lands his E, lands his Q. But I think, yeah, once they sort of had 3 lanes that weren't going to have any sort of wave control or priority, that they're all going to get shoved in, it makes it really hard for Juves to actually invade the jungle, get any vision control or anything.
Right. So you're saying once you kind of once you have this draft, it's difficult for him to play that proactive style he wanted to play at the end of last split.
Yeah, exactly. So I think all of his opportunities sort of dwindle, and he loses options to make plays around the map.
Yeah, I think that like free pushing lanes is so bad because it unlocks Nunu to just walk into your jungle, eat your camp, and like no one can collapse. It was like the first play. It was very evident that like Kassadin had the push, and then top lane Tally had the push on Rumble, so they could just collapse, get that first blood, and it like set up the game for them.
But it wasn't a perfect game from Legacy by any stretch of the imagination. Ejimo, I want you to walk us through. They had a very strong comp coming out of the draft, but then this early team fight, I mean, they're making mistakes, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as we bring this up on your screen, the one thing we want to look at is Tally, who TPs in very soon. Rogue goes in with the W here, gets the engage off. And the thing to note is Jarvan is in the top lane, no TP, so they have TP advantage. They get the engage off, Claire goes down, but Tally is just above them right now. But then he chases the Rakan up into the top of your screen, as you can see him, and he's completely irrelevant to the fight. So Sin can re-engage down this bot side. Legacy have the numbers advantage, and they should just be completely wiping this fight. Rakan has one combo. He goes in with the ult, with the W, and then he's... I'm a support player. He's just a support. He's used his buttons, and he's completely useless.
He's just there to drop wards now.
Yeah, basically. Tally's just chasing him through the top, and so Sin actually get to trade fairly evenly in this. I think towards the back of this replay, Ryoma's going to go up and he's going to trade kills with the Xayah.
So what should this have been? Like should this have been a clean sweep from Legacy?
Yeah, absolutely. Tally should have grouped with his team, and then he should have just completely wiped the fight, and then Claire would have been able to TP top and catch the top wave.
Yeah, I think definitely. Like Legacy should have 100% won that fight. Like no Jarvan TP top was crucial, and it actually benefited Sin because Fiora had to burn TP top. And now Jarvan got his lead back from a mistrade, and he got back into the game. And then 2 kills on Kassadin and started ramping up.
Yeah.
It was just poor execution in the end.
All right. Well, we've been talking a little bit about Claire and Claire popping off with Fiora in the mid lane. Now, but a lot of deaths as well, right? Claire's finding himself kind of caught out a couple of times, copped himself a couple of deaths. I want to take a look at this replay because there's a 2v1 in the bot lane. He gets himself caught, and he sets up the rest of his team for kind of a messy Baron.
Yeah, it's actually such a super exciting fight because this is one of those 1v2s that you expect to see in a montage. I think Claire's probably going to be angry with himself that he misplays this slightly. So he starts dodging around the Jarvan, he gets all the vitals off and starts getting the heal.
So
and
much
here,
damage.
yeah, he just misses the riposte, and then he blows Jarvan's flash, but maybe there's a slight improvement there that he gets to kill the Jarvan and it changes things. But he gets Jarvan to base, and Jarvan has already blown his flash. And
so he's got a couple of summers out of this.
He's also made it so much pressure on the map that Legacy start the Baron here, and it's at 2.3k before their top lane is even there.
Yeah.
They try Sin try contest here, but it's basically too late at this point, and then they all get corralled into the pit here. And as you see, Legacy Tally, they clean up. Tally gets triple kill here.
So much damage.
Yeah, and from here it's super hard for Sin to come back. How they're going to defend against those turrets when they have no side wave control.
Yeah, that's basically it. I mean, Claire got caught, but he was just so strong in that fight.
But that was the point of it. He was
Yeah, and I mean, he got caught a few times in the top side when Legacy was pushing the bot inhib. And I think we can attribute some of Legacy's slow ending to that game. Jish was saying upstairs that shouldn't have been a 45-minute 2 Baron game, I think were your words.
Yeah.
Legacy had the lead.
Those exact quotes.
Exact words, yeah. I've just stolen it. No, those were the exact words. He's good at stealing tweets.
Yeah, by the way, let's just be very clear about that. I tweeted that first. That wasn't copied. I don't know what Spawn's talking about with this. That is an absolute lie. I tweeted that first, and then Jish just copied me. Anyway, sorry. I feel like I'm getting very invested in Twitter this split. But Ejin, please continue.
But yeah, as I was saying, I mean, it was just a slow end from Legacy when it didn't really need to be.
Yeah.
And as we talked about before, maybe nerves, maybe Claire although it was a prepared pick, obviously, into the Kassadin. I don't know Claire as like a Fiora player. I don't know about you guys, but I've never seen him play Fiora until now. So
Let's look at Claire's stats in that most recent game as we bring him up. And when you look at that, I mean, what in particular stands out for you, Jish?
Firstly, damage to champions.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of damage for a split pusher who's who's trying to just hit minions all game, really.
Yeah.
Obviously, he did get in team fights towards the end, and he was cleaning up a bit. But yeah, no, obviously, the main stat there to me is just going to be his damage. His KDA is not like very attractive, like that's not a pretty score.
that's a battle Fiora.
But yeah,
Every kill gets a death.
yeah, no, like you tell like he put a lot of pressure into the game just because
So-
he was trading himself, I guess, for objectives and pressure across the map.
So then moving forward then, does Sin ban out the Fiora and continue to pick the Kassadin? Or do they just try and ban the Nunu now? Like, moving forward, what's the draft for Sin look like?
Yeah, so Sin's draft was specifically like a red side.
They had to
tailored
ban
draft.
Sin. They had to, I mean, they had to ban Zach. They had to ban Galio, presumably.
Well, yeah, firstly that, but also you won't see Kassadin third picked on blue side just
Right.
because there'll be an immediate answer. So I don't think Ryoma necessarily plays such an aggressive mid matchup. He might be a little bit scared and want to just play mages. But I think that's definitely something that won't happen again. Again, having said that, maybe it will happen and I look like an idiot on air. But no, I don't think we'll see that again. I think that Ryoma's going to default something to maybe something safer and he'll look to farm out this game.
Well, elsewhere in the draft, I mean, Legacy banned away Thresh. That was their first ban, I believe.
Yeah.
Away, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting to me. We just got upstairs, and I just see the Thresh ban was their very first ban,
Yeah.
and I don't know why. Like, what's his name? Cupcake. Sorry, Legacy
Yeah.
Sport Cupcake plays a really good Tahm Kench, and I don't think you need to be banning Rogue's Thresh if you have a well-versed champion like Tahm Kench. He's very good on the melee supports. As an answer to that immediately, I feel like that's slightly wasted. But as Jish was saying, I think with the swap sides this next game. I don't think it's going to work out the same way.
Right.
And I really want to see FBI on a better matchup. They had the Rakan, which was immediately answered by the Braum. And then all the AD carries were banned away, like we said. So they didn't really have much of a matchup bot. FBI and Rogue were just kind of stuck under their turret, which it's not necessarily bad for a Twitch to be scaling up, but when the whole comp gets outscaled anyway, he kind of served no purpose. So I want to see them on an aggressive matchup because that's where they've looked the best, and I want to see FBI in a position to succeed.
I just want to see his Caitlyn again. That was so
Yeah,
exciting.
Caitlyn
Watch
is
it
so
hard.
That's why they
Yeah.
banned it so quick, though. It
Yeah.
was like the second
second
ban.
ban.
True.
I've got a couple of sports here on the desk, and I'm going to give you a stat now that may fill you with rage. But
Here we go.
Cupcake, I'm told, the boffins in my ear are telling me Cupcake placed 40 wards in that game.
40
Rogue placed
green wards?
90.
90. Okay. There's two. I have two things. Okay, 40 wards. That's fine. That is a huge improvement from Cupcake last time.
Yeah.
He was just buying 0 wards, but 90. I feel like
It's too many.
that's too many.
Sidestone wards included.
Well,
I think it's all wards.
yeah, okay. I want to get
think
the
it's
pink
all
ward
wards.
stats. Pink ward
Yeah.
stats is what really
Oh,
matters.
okay, right.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I'll get the
'cause-
boffins working that for next game.
Okay, because Cupcake is the misfortune. Just build 30 long swords. Like,
damage.
sorry, I got no slots for pink wards, guys. Carbon Builder Redemption.
Need more damage. Come on.
Yeah.
Destiny, we've talked about the draft. Moving forward, what do you want to... Oh, let's take a look at this graph. Oh, it's a lot of damage coming out of Fiora. A lot of damage coming out of Fiora.
Yeah, so obviously I made a comment before on the damage to champions, and
Yeah.
I wasn't hugely confident without seeing everyone else, but it makes a lot more sense now seeing that obviously champions like Xayah and Rumble are huge team fighters, and yet like Fiora is out damaging them as well. So that really just shows the impact Claire had this game.
Absolutely. And Destiny, when you look at this graph, is there anything particular you want to shout out here?
Mainly just Fiora and Rumble's damage is just huge. Like, some of the Rumble ults that game were really on point. The equalizers were like in the perfect chokes, especially in that Baron.
Yeah.
And they just couldn't, like, because of their comp, they had to go in and they just got exploded on.
This graph actually does save me. The last, just before you guys, I won't say anymore, but the mid laner and the AD carry of Sin actually had respectable numbers there, and those were the two that I said were going to carry Sin through. So showing signs of life heading into games 2 and 3 are my boys.
It's
and
important to try and vindicate your own points that you've made.
Yeah,
on the
guys, I
desk
wasn't that
earlier.
wrong. I was only a little bit wrong. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, it's time for us to get into game 2. Before we do that, with our casters, Spawn and Fish, let's take a look at some highlights from game number 1.
Damage already on towards Juice. He gets to the blast code. Can he get over? Yes, he can. And now Java's granted a pit. Good equalizer from Tally to make sure Dockler has to back off. No rotation from Ryan. That means Dockler's in trouble. Tries to turn around towards Carbon. Can't get enough damage down. And Claire will pick up first blood on Fiora. Here they go. They lock down Claire first. He uses the riposte to negate some damage. Jumps back in. The equalizer will come down from Rumble. Here comes Tally right at the back lines. On top of Rogue. Can't make up his mind up on who he wants to chase. Ryoma jumps in, gets a double kill onto the captain of Legacy. Juice body pops back in. Good ultimate from Lost. He'll lock down one. Sin are going to lose their jungler. Suddenly Ryoma and FBI both in trouble. Rakan picks off Rob. Ryoma's trying to run back in, looking for another ultimate. Ro's going to jump to his side. Tally slowly burning them alive. Oh, big charm coming out from Rogue. He'll knock off everyone there. Ultimate used by Tally, stopping Sin from getting into the pit.
Oh, that's a big equalizer.
Absolute zero being channeled, and one by one, Sin will fall. Triple kill picked up by the top laner. Big team fight for Legacy.
Equalizer used nice and early. FBI incredibly low. Will get knocked up by Braum, but he turns back around. Rat-a-tat-tat Juice. Already got one kill. Rakan able to get back out. Claire is trying to find his way into the team fight. Tally trying to take down FBI. Will get that kill. It's a 3-on-3 to kick things off. Claire trying to dive into the back lines. Has to get a heal from Lost to get out of there. He's got to be careful. Will have to remove. Wait, no, go straight back in. Kills Tally. Lost now trying to kite back. Looking for the kills. Claire will come back in. Not going to be enough. The feathers are ripped out and Juice can't get close enough to the blast. Yeah,
Here's a charm, it's a charm. Knockups galore as everyone's going for a big old fight. FBI instantly obliterated the backlines by Tally. A dome has been created by Doppler, but it just keeps the inevitable from happening here as Legacy will mow down Sin one by one. Now Juves is trying to valiantly defend his Nexus. It's not going to be enough. With that ace, Legacy will take down Sin in game number 1.